Guardian as the top 200 young South Africans 2020. So Chulumanco is going to be performing us a vignette, and it's titled Desexualizing Nudity. So all the way from South Africa, Chulumanco, please take over the platform and perform your vignette.
Thank you so much. I am going to share my screen, and then I am going to turn off my then I'm going to turn off my camera. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Naked body, speak. Let the words run out of your mouth as if being chased by a vile creature of nightmares. Speak. Speak until your throat runs dry and all bodily fluid sucked out of you. The silence of your supple skin will do you no good. Speak so that there is your mercy and your sharp tongue will be your redemption. The inspired shame locked between your thighs, held up high in shame on your chest, your pectorals, a perfect oxymoron. You always have been a taboo. Bua, naked body, speak. Bua and speak for your freedom before they devour you like Lord, as they use the Lord your God to continue locking you away in shame. Naked body, speak, because you came into this world, became in this world, and became of this world in your nakedness. All glorious, lipuna, naked, relish in your glory. Admire every single detail and pride yourself, for you are the most beautiful creature known to humankind. You are the fucking craggle of its kind. Naked body, speak. Speak of how you are a body created in godliness with the magic of creation and delivery. Bua of how you, in yourself, umudimu, badimu, lilihudimu, chase life and hold on to it. Chase life and hold on to it as it escapes you and your expression silenced in a dictatorship of passion that forever locked you away in a box or otherwise excluded you. Shake your bosom. Clap your fucking ass. Be vulgar, because we are the difference between vulgarity and science is labels. Did you not come before the science? Did you not define the supposed ubuqu nenzululwazi? Because what could be deeper than the valleys that shape your body? What could be deeper than the ligament that holds together your bones and marries them to your muscles? What could be deeper than the surface that is no surface at all? What could be deeper than the scientific first line of defense? What could be deeper than the machine that brings itself to homeostasis? Naked body, speak, bua, tear, tamani, and scream from the depths of your diaphragm. Speak, bua, until uqapha amagazi negwebu, because your nakedness is your own. Your nakedness is your intimacy. Naked body, speak. Speak of the freedom you've longed to see, but you are locked away in a beautiful Coco Chanel and glamorous Louis Vuitton. Speak and run free. Rewrite the history that has long been kept in secret as though disgusting and never to be seen by the human eye. Fill its blank pages with glory and royalty. Forget violence, forget martyr, forget slavery of all kinds. Honor your inner Venus Hottentot. Honor your queer-figured Sarah Batman. And remember that white was not quite all right. Forget the irony of claiming hate over this body, but yearn to have it. The violence that is quite paradoxical and full of parody. Remember that and let it inspire you to speak. Bua, defy. Defy because you were destined and foreordained to be a protest, to problematize an ever-existing problem, to make uncomfortable. You beautifully written piece of poetry that was never written, song that was never sang, story that was never told. Tell your story using your own words, or better yet, using eso sikhumba sinomkhetha okwehashe Ntanomanzandonga opinyala zemqobeni. Because what is of the soul shall return to the soil. Naked body, speak. Your silence is unsettling. The lingering thousands of words behind that beautiful picture of brown eyes with an inferno of a fire blazing behind. Speak. Please speak. Or rather, tell me, are you scared? Poor little black body, a site of violence, a site of victimization. Are you scared? Are you scared that you'll never be pretty enough? Scared that you'll never be snatched enough? That your ass may be a bit out of place? Scared that you're not light enough, hair not long enough, not straight enough, not blonde enough, hell, not white enough? Are you ashamed? Do you hate yourself? Your full lip and not so petite hands? What, they won't pay you attention because your skin doesn't command nearly as enough attention as the one that the sun bores through? So what? Boo, man, speak. Because lifatshe le hodimo di a go mamela. Bua. You hail from the deep rivers and valleys of beautiful Azania. You hail from Africa. You are deeply rooted in the mountains and green hills of Nubia, black, queer, and royal, a light worker, divine feminine, a kaleidoscope. You are a creature of the most beautiful galaxy, worker of the stars, whose words bring together the opposing sides of the Kai. One in the same, the trans sky and the cis sky. A light worker, one that truly brings happiness, love, and abundance hosted in their rainbow-colored tail and sparkling white coats. A happy place, a feeling of content, trust, and passion. A unicorn, Unaledi, a signaling shooting star across the Serengeti, breathing life, making life, and maintaining life. The necessity that seems unnecessary, the recurring dream, but is not the same. Iphupho lemvuselelo, iphupho lobomi. A story of oppression that became a figment whose existence in itself is questionable. A story of violence, a story of suffering, a story of survival, a story of hope, a story of healing, a story of conquering. Upalea lerato la matla, le sebete, lerato la sebele. A story continuing, a shapeshifter of time, a different human form. You are a dream of an existence so wholesome. Thank you.
Wow, that was really, really powerful. Like I could sense the power even through the words, through the voice. I could actually picturize without the picture. So amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. I am more of a writer more than I am a performer, actually. So that took a lot for me because I haven't performed anything in a really long while.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, on that note, moving on, we have questions for Chulamano, and we'll go through chronologically. So we shall begin from the past and what you're doing now and what your plans for the future. So
Okay.
with regard to the past, so what has been your artistic and activist journey? Where did you start? What was your the spring point of your artistic and activist journey? Just can you briefly tell us about that?
I can't really pinpoint, a point where I can say this is where it all started. I think for me, something that may be a bit close to that would be my high school moment. I just recently came out of high school. I'm only 22. I just recently came out of high school 7 years ago, 5, something like that. 2016, that's 5-6 years ago. Yeah. And at the time, South Africa was in the middle of fees must fall, a very heated moment in South Africa where young people, particularly university students, were fighting for the decommodification of education in South Africa. And I remember then I was doing my matric year in 2016, which is your 12th grade, basically, your final year of high school. And we had a bit of a situation in my school, an incident of, well, more than an incident of racism. It was, undertones of racism that have always been there at the school, and they finally came to a boiling point. And yeah, I remember I was leading that process of a petition, submitting things, going to school governing body meetings, even though really I did not occupy any learner leadership position in the school, like your representative council, at school. And I feel for me that was the defining moment, because after that I went on to volunteer with Equal Education. And a lot later, well, not a lot later, but like a year later, they offered me an internship, and I took that up. And yeah, that has been my journey since, pretty much. And obviously, we can tell that I obviously branched out from that, from only just working with Equal Education to working with a lot of other organizations, both political organization and advocacy and lobby groups. And I've also done a bit of work on my own personal capacity, and just trying to develop my character as an activist and also as an artist. And I've always had a thing for writing and, spoken word, and using, my words to express what I feel or what is going on in my mind. So yeah, and now it's just only been a matter of constantly honing that and developing that.
Wow. Starting from the movement and to actually owning it and personalizing it. Wow, you went from political to personal. Okay. Wow.
The personal is political.
Yeah, true. So the next question for you would be from us is about discovering your queer self. How did you discover about your queer identity? Discover shouldn't be the word. How did you recognize, become aware of, and then come out eventually?
Yeah. Again, there's really no defining moment where I was like, that is the moment. But I guess always just in the way that I've always been. I remember how, my family would always be commenting just on the kind of expression I chose to have over clothes. I was never your typical girly girl, in high heels and all of that nice, beautiful stuff. I've always just been in very, what you would like call gender neutral clothing. It's just clothing for me, really. But clothes can be a form of expression, and I noticed from that, like little things like that. And just the fact that over time, I was just chilling there and being comfortable with the fact that I'm a young person, I'm a teenager, and I am comfortable with just finding myself and learning about myself and being comfortable in myself. So even constantly, completely being, I want to say out there, because I've always been out there about my sexuality and my identity, but actually having relationships with people, and have them understand who I am, started really to bloom properly in high school. Like I said, I was in boarding school, so I got to be able to be around other young people who also trying to find themselves. And it was quite a healthy environment for me to be able to do that. And getting to university is like is a microcosm of, it's a hit of reality of microcosm of society, more than high school, because high school you shielded and everything. So when I got to university, also there I was able to, express myself and find myself. And that's where I saw my voice come out as a young adult. and being able to take more of a stand more publicly and not be scared, and reconcile myself with a lot of things, that being a femme presenting queer person is a dangerous thing. But my heart, would always overcome that. I would be able to lead a slut walk of thousands of students, without a second thought, because I am a person who is able to live in the moment and be consumed by the moment and be fully present in the moment. And so I think that's how I was able to discover my queer self, and the self that I am at this point in time was being able to be present in the moment.
Wow, that was quite profound, being present in the moment and just finding yourself. And wow, that is quite profound. Thank you for sharing that personal journey from becoming aware and being, coming out. And because coming out stories are always personal, so thank you for sharing that. So the next question here would be then, how do your cultural geographies, like life in South Africa, support or interrupt your practice, whether it is artistic or activism? How does it support and how does it disrupt?
Okay. I mean, in terms of supporting it, being in a city in South Africa, particularly a city like Cape Town, because there's other metros in the country that you can be in. It's a city like Cape Town, it's a big metro in the country, but you're still not safe to fully express yourself as a queer person and be able to do certain things. But you were able to find circles where you are cushioned and you feel safe, because it is also important to note that in our activism, we have to look for moments of healing, because we are fighting so much to undo all of this trauma that we forget that we get re-traumatized over and over again. And we're always taking care of other people and not taking care of ourselves. So in so many ways, I've had to try and make sure that I get to a point where I know I have circles that cushion me, the kinds of friends that I keep, the kind of relationships that I cultivate, and having them be spaces of learning, because not all the stuff that I know today I knew when I was 15, and not all the stuff that I know now as a 22-year-old, a 25-year-old will know. So it's always about that, having that learning, and being in a city like Cape Town has allowed me to have those moments of learning. Whereas when I am back home in the Eastern Cape, it is harder, because you'll hardly ever find people having conversations about, being queer, just simply being queer. And people who are queer are always made fun of. They're subjected like crazy. And it is really difficult. Of course, you stand up to such things, but like, it is constantly draining to constantly be experiencing that and seeing that. And obviously, the violence is another mitigating factor that constantly interrupts our work. I mean, like I was saying, day in, day out in South Africa, you hear that a queer person has been killed, the femme body has been killed, simply because of the person that they are, simply because someone felt that they had more power over them because of such and such. So that those are other mitigating factors, that the violence makes it really difficult to be able, to organize. Another thing is even, the government itself, the certain departments of the government and branches of government that are supposed to be, helping bring awareness, they're supposed to be helping promote the queer community in different ways, in terms like even medical staff, for people who wish to have gender affirmation surgery, for example, something that is really hard to find. When you petition the government, there's nothing that really ever happens. More than anything, repression and police violence is used a lot. And that is another obstacle, in the fact that you are faced with violence from people around you because of who you are. And then you are faced with violence that has been legitimized because it comes from an entity that has monopoly over violence, which is the state. So those are the kinds of mitigating factors. But every now and then you see the glimmers of hope in the fact that the people that I'm around, that I'm giving this message, are also giving other people that they're around this message. It's nothing much, but it's honest work. It's honest work.
That's I don't know. I don't know how to actually react to the entire situation that you just described in South Africa, because for me, I'm close to tears when I hear queer people being killed for just being themselves, and it affects me a lot. And we respect you a lot for doing the work that you do in such a situation, and we hope things do get better for you as well in South Africa. Okay,
Thank you.
let me take a moment to process it and process my emotions. Okay, sorry about that, but yeah.
It's okay. Don't apologize.
So talking about the present, about what work that you do now. So even with regard to the performance that you just did for us, with desexualizing our bodies, right? Desexualizing nudity. So in your opinion, what does it mean to desexualize nudity, and why do you think it is important, and why do you think it needs to be put out there? This concept of, or this idea of desexualizing nudity.
Okay. So I believe that as human beings, so even in the vignette, I touch on how in our natural states, we're always naked, whether it be emotionally or whether it be physically. But in our natural state, in our true state, we are naked. We came into this world naked, and we become in this world naked, And I believe that desexualizing nudity, what it means for me, firstly, is the fact that in as much as we are human beings, and some of us are sexual beings, but first, we are human beings, and that comes with our nakedness. And so by simply being naked, it does not inherently mean you're sexual. That is the basic overall message, behind it, that we are first human beings. And I feel it's important because it then tackles, directly rape culture, how people see nakedness and nudity as consenting to sex at times because you're naked. The idea that because you are dressed in a certain way, or you look a certain manner, or certain parts of your body are exposed, you supposedly asking for it. And so I believe that desexualizing nudity would be the starting point, amongst other things, of course, to directly, deal with rape culture. Another thing is that it is intimacy. Desexualizing nudity is intimacy and comfortability in your own body, because people find it really hard to be comfortable in themselves, particularly because of westernized beauty standards. I've seen, I haven't had an experience where I'm in Asia and I've experienced this, but I've seen, in media, how people speak of as an Asian person expected to look like this and look like this and look like this. And it's the same for a Black person. You're expected to have a narrower nose, a less of a full lip, that type of thing. You're expected to have long, straight hair, all those kinds of things. You're expected to have a sucked in stomach and all of that. And which are things that are quite unnatural for most people. Other people are born like that. given, and that is okay. But for other people, you have people who are born thick and they can't do anything about it. They can't go to the gym. They can't, and they're constantly subjected to being body shamed. Things like the body mass index, structural violence that people suffer against. Things like the BMI having been put in place, to subject Black women, I'm thinking BIPOC women of color. And so it is important then that we look into what nudity means to us, what our bodies mean to us, and really self-preservation and self-love. So that is why I think desexualizing nudity is important for me. Dealing particularly with rape culture, reforming beauty standards, and people being comfortable and being happy with themselves in their truest sense and in their truest form. Because there's no amount of clothes you can put on that will make you see yourself any different. There's no amount of clothes that you put in that will change your body. That is, though, like we always speak as activists, particularly here in South Africa, student activists always speak about how we have nothing but our bodies. And as Black people in South Africa, we really do have nothing but our bodies. When it's the police and rubber bullets versus you, it's just you and your body. And so it is important then that you learn to love that body and be comfortable in that body.
I think every female presenting body kind of understands or shares the similar feelings, at least, about how they are constantly scrutinized as if they are some kind of organism under the lens of male gaze, and they're supposed to look one way, they're supposed to be this way. And it's there in every culture, irrespective of where we are from. And it's like every female presenting body or person would definitely have this as one of the they would share. It's like something very similar to #MeToo, but if I have to kind of equate another perspective on how Me Too movement and body shaming is such a common thing in female presenting people. So it's okay. I'm very impressed, so don't mind me being impressed. So oftentimes I just stop for a moment and just be speechless. So the next question that I wanted to ask is, what led to the development of this work? Like whatever that you're doing, this desexualizing nudity, the activism. Tell us how you are using it in live performances in South Africa.
So right now, I am in the process. So I want to put together a space, a gallery where people can share nude art. But particularly also have conversations around desexualizing nudity. And that is what led to the build up of this work, because I've been setting up this website for this online gallery for very low cost arts, printed on acrylic perspex glass and aluminium steel plate. And this is to really just give voice, and it's really just the aesthetic behind the conversation that needs to be had. And I started this process back in 2019. And over that time, I had developed, some work, particularly in writing. I remember at the time, there was a whole hoo-ha about Halle Bailey was going to be the next Ariel on a Walt Disney movie or something like that. And I remember writing an opinion piece for a student blog and just going on about how you know, as non-European people, so particularly as Black people, you know, bigger Black even, are always subjected, you know, to these standards, even when it comes to fictional characters like a mermaid with red hair. So from then, this idea, this concept was born, you know, of having performance and that be put together with visual art in a form of a gallery. But of course, we live in a capitalist system, so we first have to put together funds and all of that, and it's a very exhausting and very long process that has put a bit of a hold on the work, in the sense of it being out there already. But it's a work in progress, and I've roped in a couple of people to work with me who share the same ideas, you know, and the same ideals, and who want to see this kind of work, you know, advanced. And I'm hoping that it is a conversation that carries on, you know, beyond just that space, and it be a conversation that people, you know, receive and welcome wholeheartedly.
Wow. We wish you all the best as well, and we want you to have all the success in this endeavor.
Thank you.
So, in the like, what in your experience then makes nudity such a charged topic? Whether it is in South Africa, whether it is in other places, what do you think makes it such a charged topic?
Okay. I feel like in as much as like a lot has happened generations before us in terms of challenging, you know, white standards of beauty, and also challenging rape culture, I feel that there has never been a moment where desexualizing nudity was addressed fully, and it was unpacked. And so that's why I think it is so important, because it does not only border interpersonal issues, but it also speaks on personal issues. And I think that is what makes it such a charged issue, that it is both personal and it is also very political. Our bodies are, you know, are political subjects, and it's important that we see ourselves. It's important to see ourselves, you know, because, you know, there's just a lot happening around us. There's really a lot happening around us. And I believe, once again, that desexualizing nudity deals with a lot of issues. It unpacks them like properly. And of course, amongst other things, that because no issue is like a unilateral issue where there's only one solution. It's a mixture of things, particularly with socio-political issues. So it's really important in that manner.
Okay. Wow. So in that context, where do you see your current work, and how do you see it going forward? Like, how do you, like, you have been doing this for a while now, so so in this current moment, where do you see it working? How is it working for you? And in the future, how do you envision it to be going forward?
Yeah. Well, I am big on driving conversation, you know. So I only hope that this is not only a conversation that is locked in, you know, in metros, in big metros in the city. All of this. This is a conversation that can reach people in the poorest of rural communities. You know, it is a conversation that is understand by everyone. It is one that is relatable, you know. And so with the people that I work with, particularly with myself, need to constantly be putting in work to make sure that this work that I do is not detached from the experiences that people have. Because one of the biggest mistakes that we make is that we start, for example, how we speak of feminism, that if you were to go here in South Africa to a very rural community where women themselves enforce patriarchy, and you speak of hypermasculinity and all of these things, people will not relate to what you're saying. They will not know. It's not even a matter of not understanding what you're saying or education level, whatever, but it's just them not being able to relate to what you say. And so going forward, it is to always make sure that I maintain how relatable this is for people. And it is also to make sure that queer folks are represented, in all ways possible. It is a constant festival of the arts for queer folks. And when I speak of queer, I speak of queer both in the sense that queerness isn't being gay and queerness as being different. So marginalized groups basically identify with the work, because often this work caters for middle class folks or for upper class folks, which is quite disturbing. So it is important then that this work is always relatable to even the lowest of the hierarchy.
The inclusivity is just off the charts. I just love that you wanted to include the rural areas as well in this conversation. On that note, this is just some kind of an insight into your mind, into your world. How do you think about the world? That kind of a question. What kind of world do you think? Do you imagine? We all have some kind of ideal world in our minds. So what is your world where our bodies, shapes, sizes, and appearances, and genitals, what is your kind of world, and how do you think we would be getting there?
Okay, so my ideal world is one that is inclusive of everyone. I always say that more than anything, in as much as I would identify myself as a person that is Black conscious and all of that, but I believe in the essence of the African community, which is communalism, which has very close ties with communism. And my idea of getting to that ideal world is where we are not just over extracting from the earth and just overusing and abusing its resources, but we live, in harmony with our environment and within ourselves also. And this does not only come with, economic freedoms, but it also comes with political freedoms and social freedoms, which include being able to be free to be in your body, and being able to enjoy your own presence in yourself, and not be subjugated to having to now constantly conform to beauty standards. People use skin lightening creams, and that is very dangerous. We are sold this idea that you need to have perfect, even skin tone, when virtually nothing on this earth is even toned. Even glass under its microscope is not even toned. And we sold these ideas, and people buy into those ideas, and they're all just about not only over extracting from the work from the world and the earth, but about also over extracting from the poor and marginalized of this world. And I imagine a world where we are free of that, and we are truly, we are truly free. We have true freedom, in a sense. And how I see us getting there, I mean, work like this, having these types of conversations and introducing those ideas. That's how revolution starts, through conversation, you know. And so it is important to constantly be having these conversations, because small pockets of people start organizing and moving towards that world. It entices people towards the idea of such a world, as opposed to now we're all locked in a capitalist system. All you're worried about is being able to put food on your table, you know, more than anything. All you're worried about is being alive, you know. So it is important to have these conversations, because you snap out of the constant red race of chasing life and, you know, chasing upkeep and survival. You snap out of it, and you're able to rethink a world where you don't have to do that.
Wow, that is a world we all want to live in. If not all, at least me, because being a non-binary person, I'm constantly faced with the body dysphoria, and also the social dysphoria that comes with it. And I do want to sometimes just not have that, like a moment's peace could be good. So I relate to that, whatever you're trying to say, though, that we need to have a world where we are inclusive, and we are, we are not subjugated to this extreme forms of beauty standards, or forms of bodies that we have to ascribe to, or kind of aspire to. We can just be ourselves. Why not? Why do we have to have somebody else's notion of what a perfect body is? Lovely thought. On that note, we have 2 minutes left. If somebody has a question or something to ask of Chulam, I'm going to call you Mihlali, okay?
Okay, that works.
Mihlali, if you have questions for Mihlali, please go ahead and ask. And there are some comments from Nishi Kadoria about women's bodies being overly sexualized. She agrees with it, and there is incessant body policing where a woman's body is concerned. We need a culture of sensitization which respects women's bodies without policing it for just being the way it is.
I think that is another important thing, you know, like having a sense of control over your body, and who just is in the same way we have, you know, by being able to come out to your family, for example. I'm one of those people who feel like, personally, I don't have to come out to anyone, because no heterosexual person just is like, "Ooh, I'm heterosexual, mom, dad." So even to my family, I never came out. They just know, because they will see, or it will come across in conversation when we're talking. I never came out to my family. And I told them that if I was heterosexual, I wouldn't have come to you and said, I'm heterosexual. See, so it's having control over yourself, and people constantly want to take that control away from you. You know, that's what this patriarchal world is trying to do.
Wow. On that profound and insightful note, we will be, this is the end of conversation with Mihlali, and lots of love from PanACEa team to Mihlali, and we want you to succeed in all your endeavors with the conversation around desexualizing nudity in Africa, in South Africa, Africa, the world over. This is an important topic, and more power to you, as Kathabert says.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me also. This is amazing work. I was really excited when was it Hina that I had the initial conversation with. I think it was Hina, yeah.
Yes.
And I was really excited for this work. You know, I always get overzealous with the work, because it's always amazing to see it happening from all corners of the world.
Thank you for that, Mihlali. On that note, at 3, we have a chat with Heiko Chu on Intersex Awareness Day. Please do join at 3. And with that, we'll have like a short break of 15 minutes. If you want to have like a tea break, bathroom break, feel free, or even a water break or just a break. Yeah, yeah, go ahead, have it, and come back at 3 o'clock. Bye.
Can you please stop the live? Sneha, can you stop the live streaming?